Hello, and welcome to The Measure of Things, a podcast brought to you by STABILA. Each episode, we sit down with guests from across the world of construction to uncover what is shaping the industry today. In this episode, we're talking all about German engineering, why so many tradespeople in the UK have a van full of German tools, and what goes into making them. Because let's be honest, when you see made in Germany on the side of your tool, you know it's going to be good quality. And I'm delighted to be joined today by two heavy hitters behind two iconic German manufactured hand tool brands. We have Alex Neiter, who's the international sales manager from Knipex. We'll get to how you actually say these words a little bit later. The pliers powerhouse, trusted by tradespeople across the world. And we have my boss, Holger, the chief marketing and sales officer at STABILA. We're talking design, durability, and what it actually means to build tools for tradespeople, not just to fill a space on a shelf. So if you've ever felt the difference between a cheap knockoff and the real thing and wondered what goes in to making the real thing, this episode is for you. Okay, so I want you to start with that tag, that made in Germany tag, because one of my favorite facts that I like to tell people at any chance I get is the history behind made in Germany.
Yes, that's funny.
And instead of me telling everybody that, Holger, I thought I'd hand that over to you.
It's a fun fact, isn't it? And almost a tragedy for the UK that they introduced a law in, I think it was 1887, to mark German goods, to label them as inferior, to warn the UK customers about the inferiority of the German products. And it turned out that nowadays it's just the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah. It is a bit of a tragic story, but I like it because it's something that starts with trying to be a deterrent. It's trying to tell people in the UK, don't buy that product because it's come from Germany. So everything from Germany has to have made in Germany written all over it. And now it's a badge of honor. I mean, for both brands, it's the same with Knipex. It's made in Germany is a core part of the marketing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the history of Knipex goes back over 140 years, 1882 to be precise.
Oh, you're a young company with 89.
Yeah, young company. So the focus has always been on quality, nothing else than quality. So, and it's still very important for our customers or for the end user to know where the product comes from. They want to know where is it manufactured. Many people are interested to actually see how it's done, how it's manufactured. So it's a label for quality, for guarantee you get the highest quality you can. So it carries still very high importance, I think.
I think because we're going to get into hand tools and UK tradespeople, but German manufacturing and its reputation goes beyond tools. It goes into a lot of manufactured products, and but I'm just interested to delve into, I guess, why does Germany have such a reputation for manufacturing?
Alex?
Yeah. So I think in Germany that we got quite some very substantial industries. You're right, it's not only tool industry, but it's car industry, machine industry, chemical industry, which are really, really strong. I think we always had a very solid base of manufacturing industry, which thankfully we still have. Of course, there are challenges also for us, because I think there are some competitive disadvantages that we see if you look to labor cost, if you look at the energy prices, which we probably got one of the highest energy costs compared internationally. But there is also, I think, some advantages, and we may touch on that a little later in the conversation, which is innovation, being innovative, bringing out new products with new features and benefits for the end customers.
And also the quality, I think. also when it comes to tools, but also other products that users see the quality behind the German products, which are, of course, often more expensive, but they deliver the quality. And it's not just about the quality, it's also about application benefits or about efficiency if you use them. I mean, expensive tool, for example, can be cheaper in the end, if you have a longer, if you are more precise or whatever. We come to that later probably, but you don't have to look just on the cost of something. You also have to look what you get out of it. And I think that's many users or customers still acknowledge that with that made in Germany. And we have a special thing here also. I mean, Knipex is a little bit bigger than STABILA, but we all call ourselves the so-called Mittelstand, which is medium-sized companies, family-owned, and very combining tradition with that innovation, what you just said.
Yeah.
And this also makes it special in Germany.
And that is the backbone of the German industry. It's exactly these companies. It's not the very big companies, the public, how you call it?
Listed
public
ones,
traded or public listed, I think that's where it's different to the UK. I know there are exceptions, but we don't have that Mittelstand. Mittelstand. We don't have that really here. You have small businesses that when they get to that size, their outlook is to sell. So we have big multi-billion global companies that tend to gobble up those medium-sized companies. And I think sometimes that maybe is where you lose innovation, because I guess we'll get into STABILA and Knipex in a second, but I guess that probably is where some of the passion comes from. If you're not looking to sell in a couple of years, and you're in an organization that's been around for 135, touching on 140 years, you have time to invest and a desire to invest.
That's true. That's another. Also, I would say it's also another target or another look what we have on certain things. Our company is still family-owned, since 1889. The same family, or 3 tribes of the family now. And if they are not looking for the fast success, and when Uli, our CEO, came 11 years ago, they told him, it's not our goal to grow fast on every, no matter what it costs, or we have a reputation here in that city where we have been since 130 years, and please keep that reputation. You can invest, but please grow the brand step by step, long-term thinking. And if we do an investment, we just invested in a new logistics center. If it doesn't pay off in 2 years, in 3 years, it's okay. If we are convinced the investment is paying off in 10 or 15 years, then we do it. And we have the capability of doing that. And I've been working, my first company where I worked for was an American company. I like American companies, don't get me wrong, but the thinking is much more short-term. In the end, we had a strategy lasted perhaps for 1 year. And you not only went from quarter to quarter, but only from month to month. And if the figures weren't right in 1 month, that was a catastrophe almost. And at STABILA, it's a complete different way of working. I don't know how it's at Knipex.
I would say it's very similar with us. We have this long-term view. We want to build the brand, and not this instant cash, which you may have with other companies, because that's not working.
What I'm interested in is that long-term outlook. How does that get into the products? So at Knipex, you've got a vast range of innovation that comes out every single year. Has that always been the mindset? I guess, how do you turn that long-term view into manufacturing and researching product?
Innovation has always been important. I think, back in the 70s, I think, when things changed from a seller's market to obviously a buying market, I think it has become even more important to differentiate to other companies and obviously bring some real new product to the market. And of course, innovation costs money. There is high investment, and this, I think, is a difference to other companies who may have a strategy to follow. But we would like to be the first to bring out new products. You're right. I think you're looking at maybe some 30, 40, 50 new products every year, which of course includes some changes, some new variants we could bring on the market, like different handle styles, sizes. But it could also be real innovations for us, which it's a complete new tool within, of course, our tool category, which is pliers and cutters. So there remains this clear focus. But yeah, so this long-term view, and we spoke about family-owned, I think is a key aspect to it. I think, it's we are based in Kronberg and obviously in Wuppertal, and so we are part, obviously, of that region. And a lot of people, obviously, from Wuppertal, they work with us. Sometimes it's families they work with us. So, and I think it's being aware of our responsibility for the people that work there, for the area we live in. We are part of that society. So we're taking resources, but I think it's the thought we have to go back to give back resources. And like this circular economy, I think, is a buzzword for it. Not just linear taking, making it, and then disposing things. So it's sustainability plays a very important role in that, I think. So
when you're developing some of those new products, the tweaks or the complete new innovation, how do you involve, I guess, end users in that? I mean, how do you come up with the ideas? Because I'm guessing it's not people sat in a dark room coming up with ideas, is it? There's a process that you go through.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I think that there may be a bit of both, to be honest. So, of course, you have your people in the company, which are very clever people, and they come up with good ideas. But, of course, on the other side, you would like to involve the people that use the tools day in and day out. So the different programs, we have a program called Knipex, where, as the name suggests, is people that know our brand, that know our tools, and that are experts with our brand or tools. So we invite them to get into very close contact with us, into dialogue, and we will listen to them. So if we bring out, or we have a product idea, we will talk to them at an early stage. They are from different industries, and just get their feedback and say, what are your pain points today in your today work? What should be better? How can we make things quicker, easier, and more secure? And then they will give us this feedback, and then we will obviously use that feedback, and that will be a starting point, hopefully, of a new product. But I think there is a bit of both. So I think just going one side wouldn't work.
No.
Though there are companies, as we know, who are completely, they just focusing on their own ideas, and some just on outside input. But I think for us, I can clearly say I think it's both of it. Both sides are important.
I think we are both very linked to the different trades of our users who use our products, and we have so special products that we really have to look what are the users doing, what is their daily work, what is their task, what is their challenge, and then we look how can we help them to be more efficient in the end. And so for me, innovation starts also on the job site out there. And you're right, it has to be both. Of course, also the experience of long time people working for us. I mean, people have been working for us for decades sometimes, and they have so much experience. Of course, they know also what's possible on the technological side, But then, of course, you need to have that view of the users. And it's not about asking what can we improve or what else do you need often. It's more about, as you said, also to get into a dialogue with them, how they work, and then to see, they're doing like that, and could it be made easier? Because if Steve Jobs probably would have gone to mobile phone users and asked, what can we improve about the phone? Probably we wouldn't have an iPhone, yeah?
Yep.
So it's also about asking the right questions, yeah? And that's what we also do, yeah? We go outside, also product management, the developers, and of course we get a lot of feedback from the sales team.
Yeah. And that, I think that route has also changed, hasn't it? Whereby before you probably talk to people face to face on trade shows, for example, or events.
Yeah.
And now I think it has shifted more to the internet.
Yes.
And, social media obviously is a big topic, but which is good because obviously you have a far better reach, haven't you? You can reach a lot more people than you could when going to events. But there is also a challenge, I think, in, the feedback you get, so what do you do with it? Sometimes you get very precise feedback, good feedback, but sometimes it's a thumbs up, which we like, don't get me wrong, but, what do you do with it? And then obviously on our end, there must be people who use that feedback to then obviously use it for new ideas. But yeah, it's changing. But I think to have this strong contact or strong dialogue to the users is absolute key. Absolute key.
That's an interesting thing you just mentioned, Alex, the social media, because we also shifted our marketing completely. Former times, 10 years ago, we had ads or whatever. We reduced that massively because social media is a two-way communication. Yeah, and now we get so much feedback also from users, and we use that also. Our social media team always is in contact with the product management, and they feed the question and answer catalog and so on. And it's not just what you see, the thumbs up or the comments, but we get per day approximately 150 direct messages. And these are the valuable messages where people really ask about functions, about what they didn't understand the product. And this is valuable information you also get.
It is. And then again, how, who deals with it? And,
If you have no process in your company to deal with that, it's a lost information. But it's a valuable information if you use it.
Yeah, somebody said to me when I first started working at STABILA, I won't mention them, but they said that it's very difficult to innovate in hand tools. And they said to me, a screwdriver is a screwdriver, set of pliers is a pliers, and a level is a level. And there's not really any innovation. And I don't think that could be further from the truth. It just takes what you've described, that is a passion for quality and a desire to listen. And that's sort of it. Like you said, Holger, it's born off a trade site. And like you said, Alex, that there are really talented people that work at Knipex and STABILA that can bridge that gap between people's pain points, what they need, and what's there, what is technologically available for you to use. And I suppose a bit I wanted to just move on to next is I think there's innovation in product and product usage, and I think there's innovation in manufacturing. So I was going to ask you, Holger, just very briefly, like talk us through how a level's made, because there will probably be people that listen to this that think a level is a level.
It's just aluminium.
It's just aluminium and
some
bubble.
Plastic,
And it'll be a similar question to you, Alex.
Case,
pliers are just pliers.
It's always fun if we have customers visiting us, and we always give them a factory tour, and every visitor is surprised how complicated and how complex producing a high quality spirit level is. And to explain it in short terms, of course, we have the profiles. That's the start. They have to be straight and 100% straight, because that's defining the precision, of course. And then we mill the openings for the vials and for perhaps the end grips or whatever, end caps. And then, of course, the core of the is the vial. Yeah, and precision, and we put much effort in that, is how the vial is fixed into the profile, because this is defining the permanent precision. And you would be surprised if you opened many levels on the market, how they look like inside, because it's just often the vial is just a little bit glued inside with some construction foam or clipped into. But a level is dropped often on the job site, and then if the vial is not fixed permanently to the measuring surface, it's inaccurate. It gives you a wrong reading. So we put much effort in that system, and we've invented in 1979. We've invented a unique vial fixation system or fixing system, which is very unique, and it's with a special kind of resin, and we are able to adjust that in the manufacturing process to align it. And then resin is put in, and then it's cast for life. Yeah, that's why we also give 10-year guarantee on our levels. But this is something. And you see that in the manufacturing process if you visit our factory. And we try, of course, to give that message outside. But it's difficult in marketing, because this is something you don't see. It's inside. It's inside that level. The patent is long gone. So why is no other manufacturer doing it? Because it's complicated. It takes a lot of effort. It costs money, and you don't see it. It's hard to market the thing, but it's defining the precision, the permanent precision of our levels. So this is also done. It's a very complicated process we're doing. And then, of course, in the end, 5 times it's checked the level on accuracy. And then, of course, we have the other plastic parts like end caps and grips or whatever. But also milling the vial, for example, is also a very complicated process. So it's not a short story, but also the liquid in the vial is a big secret. Yep. It has to be UV resistant. It has to secure that the bubble isn't divided when you have a shock on the level or when it's dropped. That it has to be anti-static, and so on and so on. So a lot of
complicated. So
probably the same with pliers. For me, that plier is an easy product. But
I mean, in general, I like to see how things are made, and you wouldn't believe how much detail goes into particular products. Again, you see the finished products and you think, well, you just produce it. That's it. But how much detail goes into it, it's incredible. I would love to see it one day, how levels are made. Because obviously I have no idea of levels. But in terms of pliers, and just go back to your first question, which is interesting, and I've been asked that many times, is what can you still improve with a pair of pliers? A pair of pliers is a pair of pliers.
Yep.
You can do a different color handle, but what more can you do? And then, of course, the mechanical principle is given. That probably won't change. But there are still so many things you can do to make it more ergonomic, for example, or something which is also quite important for some tradespeople is, if you can design, some good functions, different functions into one pair of pliers, that obviously save them from carrying different tools. You can still work a little bit on the force transmission to just make the joint just a little bit different to have a better force transmission. So there are still things you can do. So but it's interesting if you're not maybe from the industry or you do not work with the tools, then I can fully understand you raise that question.
But as soon as you have the products in your hand, you feel the difference, don't you?
Yeah.
Because I was not in the tool business before I joined STABILA, and I didn't have much interest in tools. For me, also a level was a level and a plier was a plier. And when I started working for STABILA, I went into my cellar and looked which tools do I have, and I was shocked about the pliers, for example. And then I bought some proper ones from Knipex, for example, and I said, why didn't I buy those earlier? Because they are so much better to use. Also the screwdrivers, for example, it makes life so much easier. So it's really a bad thing to invest in cheap tools. Buy the best tools you can get.
Yeah. I guess.
And I'm not a professional builder, but even I have said, wow, that's nice to have a proper tool. Yeah.
And I understand it if you are a part-time user, if you're an occasional DIYer, that you probably were.
Yes.
I was as well. Pliers are pliers, but if you are a tradesperson and you're using them every day, it's very, very different.
I'm sure it is. I mean, if you use, and some of the people that use pliers for their profession. They use it many hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And this makes a big difference. If we take a side cutter, and you cut a nail once, and you think, yeah, okay, it's cutting a nail. And then we bring out a new cutter, which is a little bit easier, 20% easier cutting. Then for you, just cutting the nail once, it doesn't make much difference. But you use that tool many hours, day in, day out, it makes a big difference. All the strain, and, it's a, yeah, you really value that there is an improvement in the tool. And yeah.
For you, it's about efficiency, also about how fast you are and how economic. Probably also. For us, it's also of course, that you can trust the level, so that people trust the tool, and so also the accuracy. I mean, on every level is an accuracy printed on, but is it real, that accurate? And imagine building a wall and it's not straight. And that's a costly mistake, isn't it? And that's our story, our brand story.
I think it's the same endpoint, isn't it? That is, without using the cliche, time is money. But for a tradesperson, it all comes down to time. And I suppose
absolutely.
For levels, if you use something that isn't accurate, the time and the cost to go and put it right is significant. For pliers, I guess you're using them so often that if you have to go out and buy a second pair after a month, or if it's hurting your hand more and more, it's all going to slow you down eventually. So it all goes back to that time is money. And the other cliche I'll drop, that if you buy cheap, you buy twice. So I think something that's maybe quite interesting, just that I was going to ask you now, was it's quite clear it's complicated to make premium tools, but what are some of the corners that cheaper manufacturers will cut? So for levels, if you look at cheaper alternatives, what's their focus? What are the corners that they're cutting?
What I just mentioned before, I think they cut corners on those things you don't see. The heart of a level is the vial, and how the vial is fixed to the frame, to the profile. This is defining the precision, and the vial has to be precise. That's the job a level has to do. It has to be true, that you read true values. And if it doesn't do that job, is that a real tool for pros? And we often go into shops and just buy random tools, which we found, new tools on the market, new levels. I won't tell any names now, but we test them. We cut them open, and then we see how the vials are fixed and what's the technology behind. And also we test them on accuracy. And he can tell you many, many levels are right off from the shelf. It's not they are not as accurate as what they print on it. And would you believe, as a normal user, that what you read, accuracy 0.5 millimeter per meter, is not true?
No.
You trust it.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, where the big difference lies.
And for you guys, cheaper alternatives are obviously available. What sort of corners are your cheaper competitors cutting?
Well, maybe if you start at the beginning, you look at the materials they use. For example, the kind of steel. They could use different materials to start with, which are of an inferior quality. And obviously, if you don't put good quality in, it's very difficult to get good quality out. So that would be one point. Then I think you mentioned this, all the quality controls. I mean, with us, until a pair of pliers leaves our factory, it could go through, say, 40 different production steps, and we would control the quality after every step. And then obviously at the end, before, it's packed and goes into stock. So that's a level of detail that you would not see with other suppliers. But I agree. I think from an appearance point of view, products can look very similar, and you only you only see what the difference is by actually using it. And, for example, a water pump plier, you don't want it to slip because it's really dangerous. So we have a water pump plier, innovation that goes back to the 70s, where we were the first to come out with a self-locking water pump plier. So there was no need anymore to squeeze the handles as firmly as you can, but it just self-locks. There was a pinch guard also, making sure you don't pinch your fingers, the blisters that a lot of tradespeople had back in the day. So I think that is what is really important.
Alex just mentioned something. Yeah, it's the material, it's the values inside, and the testing. If you cut corners with testing, of course that's cheaper to produce. Yeah. Also, people are often surprised when they visit our factory how often we check our levels on accuracy. But that's also on the other side that we hardly get any complaints afterwards. Yeah, so we also lead our customers when they visit us to our service department. They're surprised how small it is, because we hardly have any complaints on our levels. Yeah.
And of course, the further you go in your production process and the later you find out about possible mistakes or even imperfections, obviously the more costly it gets. So you want to make sure that if there is and there could always, something can always happen, machine's not rightly set or so, but then you want to spot it straight away. You don't want the product to go through the whole process, because again it makes it quite costly at the end. Thankfully, like yourself, we have a very, very low return rate, which is probably part of that. You talked about the brand and the trust. That is building trust, isn't it? People know we buy it and we keep it and we use it. There is no way back to the factory.
I think a cheaper manufacturer, just taking what both of you said, they focus on what it looks like, and if it looks the same, people will buy it because it's cheaper. But brands like Knipex and STABILA, and there's plenty of other German manufacturers with the same outlook, with that long-term focus, you can invest a lot more upfront to build that brand trust over a very, very long time. Like, I'm sure it's the same with Knipex, but for STABILA, when we're at shows, people will come and buy the product because their father did and their grandfather did. And it's been, that reputation has been built up over generations.
Over generations. That's funny. Yeah, when I first was in America, in the US, on a trade show, and I asked one of the young guys, because we are also selling on shows together with the retailer. And on one of that show, that was JLC Live, I think in Rhode Island, I asked a young carpenter, why are you queuing up to buy a $400 level set? Yeah. It's quite an investment, for a young carpenter. And I said, what you just said, my grandfather had them, my father had them, I'm using them. They never let me down. Yeah. And then, of course, I wanted to know, do you know why? And so he couldn't tell me anything about our vial fix system. It's just the experience. It's just the experience. And that's what a brand is, isn't it? It's the trust people have, even if they haven't used the brand, but they heard that others trust this brand. And I think that's, in the end, essential.
Yeah, very important. Trust is key, I think.
So I want to go back to something we started to discuss earlier around the rise of the internet, of social media as a different way to communicate brands. Now, I think for both brands and a lot of other German manufactured hand tools, power tools, the high proportion of what's made is exported. So did social media allow you to grow globally? Did it allow you to reach a broader audience? I suppose starting with Knipex, Alex. I mean, how's Knipex grown as a brand in other markets like the UK, the US?
Yeah, I think it has definitely helped. I mean, we said that obviously there is now far better reach than there was ever before. I think as a company, I think we were always very international and export oriented. So, I mean, today our export share is far bigger than the domestic share. So you're looking at, I think, 60%, over 60% of the products are exported, and then 40% is what we say domestic, which is German-speaking countries, Germany, of course, home market, and Austria, Switzerland. So there has always been this strong focus to be international. And when we do a presentation, a company presentation, there is one slide I really like. It shows a price list from, I think, 1922. I'm not sure you may have seen that before, but this price list that is in 4 languages already. So that's German,
Wow.
English, French, and Spanish, I believe. So when you think, wow, that's...
So it's not a new thing.
No, it's not a new thing. So this international approach, I think, has always been with us.
And what about STABILA?
I mean, already around 1900, we've been exporting to many countries. It's just the same, yeah. And now we are exporting into, I think, 80 countries. We have a sales network in 80 countries. Of course, the sizes are different. Yeah, I mean, USA and Canada, so North America is our biggest market. Germany, of course, yeah. But our export ratio, I think 80% is at the moment we are exporting. 20% is domestic, and of course, then we have the UK. Third biggest market. Australia, we are very big. New Zealand, I always say England and the former colonies are great markets for us. You asked about social media.
Yeah.
For us as a medium-sized company, we can't keep up a lot of social media channels in French, in Italian, in Greek, whatever. So we focus on German and English. Yeah, and so of course our outreach to our biggest market is the best, but of course we also know that Italian users, they don't like to listen to English channels or whatever. So it's a little bit more complicated for us reaching out via social media to those kind of users. Also in France, for example, it's more difficult. You have to have a French channel then. Yeah. We're working on that, still a way to go, but it's easier for us English-speaking countries.
Yeah, and it really, I think it's important to, how you communicate in German wouldn't work. I mean, obviously taking the language aspect out, but wouldn't work maybe in France, as you say, or in America. Yeah. So you really have to adapt to that market and, change the communication.
Of course, because it's also about application, isn't it? And the way of building things and doing things in North America is different to how things are done in Germany. So we also try to have these aspects, how we're just not saying this is our new level. So we show the application on social media, and that's a great thing. And we also have the projects of our customers. We show them how do they work. But it works also on one channel, because it's interesting that you also then combine the different cultures, It's interesting for a follower from South Korea to see how do the Americans build their homes and vice versa. So I think it's also bringing the world together, isn't it, in the community? That's a nice thing about social media.
Yeah.
So bringing it a little bit closer to home for me, not for you guys, and the UK tradesman. I said right at the very start, if you look inside the van of a quality trades person in the UK, you'll find a lot of German brands, whether it's Knipex, STABILA, Vera, Besse, Bosch, whatever. Festool, they will have high-quality German brands in there. So, simple question. I'll start with you, Holger, which is why? Why is that high-quality craftsman in the UK has so many German manufactured brands? Because there are cheaper ones available.
I'm just guessing, because I'm not an English tradie. You should ask an English tradie, probably. But I think it's what we just talked about. It's the trust that they can rely on their tool. And a tool is not just a tool. A tool for a professional is a daily companion, and it's supporting his work. And if they know I've got a good companion there, it's part of the family, isn't it? And that's why they also bond with these brands, because it's not just a tool.
Yeah. And maybe to add to that, so with my experience, I mean, I'm now with the company and in this business for 6 years, precise. And I see the UK market being a very quality conscious market. You have a lot of tool lovers, I would say. They really absolutely love their tools. And it even goes beyond just the tools, isn't it? They have their clothing, they dress up in the brands that they like. They talk about it. They join communities where they talk about it. So I think it's this awareness for quality, which I think my experiences here is really, really high. And they are prepared to pay that extra because they know, we touched on that earlier, that in the long term, it's the better option, isn't it? So it's this time aspect, which, sometimes get forgotten about, but that's important, is it? Value over time. And I can see that with the UK, that there is that clear focus on.
Yes, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, Alex, but it's the same what I experience also in Australia, for example. Yeah, the traders just love their tools. The connection to the tools is much more emotional than, for example, in Germany.
Yeah.
I still experience that. The Germans think, "Oh, it's a tool," but the emotional connection is not there as much as, for example, also here in the UK.
Yeah,
I think there's a financial aspect to it as well. Like most tradespeople, I think the stat is it's either 80 or 85% of tradespeople in the UK are self-employed.
Yeah,
even if you work for a bigger organisation, you're self-employed. So that cliche "time is money" is so relevant to them. So I think there is an emotional connection to tools, but there's also a financial bit that they, I think in the UK, truly understand that if you get it wrong, it is you personally that has to pay.
It's your money.
It's your money, not someone else's. So I think they respect having an accurate spirit level is important. And likewise, it's them that will be going and buying new pliers. It's them that will start getting problems with their hands that will stop them working earlier. So I think there's a financial bit.
It's a valid point. And then I think even depending on industry, I think some have to pay for their tools themselves. So it's not the company that do that, but they have to pay for it. And very often you see, they pick a high quality tool and they also maintain it nicely. You know, they care about it. They clean it. They keep it in a condition that, make it last even longer. So that you can clearly see here.
Interesting point, because you can also see that we are also offering level bags. Yeah, to protect your level, to carry it. Yeah. And so it's nice. And in Germany, we hardly sell any. People just throw it in their van or whatever. And in England, also USA, completely different story.
Yep.
We always sell
have to have a bag.
The bags with them. So that's also the love we see here, that they carry, they care for their products, they clean them. Yeah, it's a cultural difference also. Yeah. Interesting.
So thinking about, again, going all the way back to innovation, because I think it's been such a core part of the discussion and what sets the two brands apart from competitors. Gives a flavour of some new releases for Knipex this year? I would say what's coming next, but I know you can't tell us that. So what have been, I guess, the exciting new innovations that have come to market?
Well, we just had a release for this year. There is a lot more in the pipeline, but I feel it's a bit early to share. But there will be some very exciting new tools to come. That's for sure. And again, it's definitely some improvements to existing tools, but there will also be one or the other real innovation. But again, it's difficult for me to share now.
I shouldn't have put you on the spot.
But thank you for trying. It's
Holger.
The same, probably. We just brought 2 new products on the market September. Perhaps not available everywhere yet. I don't know. In the UK, Ollie, you know that more. A new laser distance measurer, high-end, LD530 BT. You can connect it to a new app we have for transferring your measurements. But the nice thing is it has a camera, so you can measure outside where you normally don't see the dot, and it has many, many features which make measurement much more easier. And then we also have a new green line laser, very compact one, personal laser as the Americans call it. Not so bulky, because with the rechargeable batteries nowadays, we also have those models. They are very bulky, so we have also added a smaller, more compact version to our assortment. That's these are the new products this year, but of course we are working on many new products for next year and the following year.
And the
Can't
year
tell
after
you
that,
anything
and
about
the year
that yet.
after that.
Otherwise, my R&D department would kill me. But you'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's we didn't talk about copies, for example, which is a big topic, I think. So you really want to be a little bit more restrictive if it comes to innovation, because, nowadays, I think it doesn't take long until you see the first copies to come on the market. And
you see that as a big problem for you, copies?
I wouldn't say a big problem, but first of all, it's not right, I think, if you bring out an innovation and then there are others, and even if it's patented, sometimes you see that still people come out and do the same thing. So I think that's not right in itself, because obviously you spend that time and you invest that money into it. But then I think also, worst case, tradespeople buy a copy believing it is a real tool, and obviously that could damage your reputation, couldn't it? So obviously we want to make clear that, all right, this is a copy. And sometimes, and the copies are getting, I would say, appearance-wise, getting closer all the time. So years ago, you could probably easily identify, all right, this is a real product, this is a copy. But nowadays, I find it more difficult to really see this. But it's very it's very actual. It's there, so we see that, and it's not good. It's certainly not good. I wouldn't say it's a massive problem, but again, for the reasons I mentioned, it's just not right to do it. We have a legal department, obviously, and there is only one person who does nothing else than obviously looking on the market, for copies. So it keeps a person fully busy to do that. But again, it's protecting the brand, but it's also protecting our customers, the end users.
Yep.
So
we're starting to come towards the end, and we get into what we've done with all of our guests, some quick fire questions. My first question to both of you is, I know that I'm saying STABILA and Knipex wrong. So my first question, Holger, how do you say STABILA?
At home, STABILA.
STABILA. Okay. Alex, how do you say
Yeah,
Knipex?
I would say STABILA. No. So for we say Knipex.
Knipex.
So it's a K, which I know it's the silent K for you, and then it's a long I. So the pronunciation would be on the I. But it's a question that comes up probably with every trade show, and but people are very proud. They come and they say, "Oh, I pronounce it. I tell you, it's Knipex," and say,
long I.
Nice. Yeah, long. Yeah.
I didn't know that story with that pinchen.
Well, that's the story I've been told.
Okay.
There may be others, but no.
It fits very nicely.
Yeah,
really
it fits.
story.
No,
and STABILA, we also are asked very often, where does it come from? And I found an old price list of I think from the 1920s, and they introduced a new folding ruler model made of metal, not wood, and that was called STABILA. So I assume that from one product, then the brand was registered 1929. So then it moved more and more to the whole to be used for all of our products. But it's an interesting thing how brand names evolve.
Yeah.
We get asked at trade shows a lot, how do you say it? And I do say to them, well, if you were in our factory, you would say it STABILA. But if you're going around talking in an English accent, you're not just suddenly going to stop and say, I'll go to the van and get my STABILA out.
Sounds strange for the English speaking world, doesn't it?
But people ask you a lot, so it's nice to be able to get out there the proper pronunciation.
Yeah. And maybe if we got a moment, another minute, also quite interesting, I think. So the brand Knipex was only registered, I think, 60 years after we were founded.
Oh, wow.
So before, it was called CGP, which are the initials from Carl Gustav Putsch, who was obviously the first person who obviously set up the business. So that's quite interesting. But because in the area where we are, the surname Putsch is a quite popular surname. And there were also in this region, there are a lot of tool makers and, doing similar or doing tools, hand tools. So, yeah, the idea was to differentiate, obviously, from the others and make it a bit more, more
Fantastic.
catchy. And this is then 1942 when the brand name Knipex was registered. So that, I think, is also quite interesting.
So, second quick fire question. I'll start with you, Holger, again. What is your favorite tool?
That's a good question. For me, it's our digital level, the Tech 196DL, because this is, for me, the perfect combination. What makes STABILA? It's the tradition with the.
Is that because it's right there on the table?
You're right. That's on the table. It's combining the traditional spirit level with latest technology and innovation. And that's for me also what makes STABILA. And for me, perfect. And I have it also for myself. I'm not a professional builder, but I always use it to adjust the table football, or how you call it,
The table football?
Yeah, it's perfect for me.
To cheat. So you set an inclination.
No.
Yeah.
Do you say at home or office? I didn't
At
get
home.
that.
At home.
Okay.
Not in the office. No.
But if you use it every day, it's a great tool for professionals, and I love it.
Alex?
Is it me now?
Yeah.
Difficult.
You've got a lot more to pick from.
Well, we got 2,000 different products in our range. But I think if I had to pick one, I probably go with the pliers wrench. It's called the pliers wrench, which is how to explain? It replaces a complete set of spanners. It's a wrench, not an adjustable that you would use, which can be quite clunky, and then you lose obviously the setting. But it's similar to water pump plier, but with smooth jaws, and you can adjust it quite nicely to what you're working on. Got a very wide capacity. You can use it, obviously available in different handle styles and sizes. But that's a good tool, because again, it keeps your toolbox light. It's very versatile. Obviously, plumbers use it all the time, but it's so versatile. You can use it everywhere. And I have a small one at home, a 125, which fits perfectly in your pocket, like an EDC almost. And I use it for if I set up furniture, wherever you got nuts, or you can use it on your bike, if you adjust your bike. So it's a great tool.
Fantastic. Right. Well, I think that is all we've got time for today. So Alex, Holger, thank you so much. We say thank you to everybody when they've been on for the journey that they've taken, but you are the only guests we've had that have literally had to get on aeroplanes to be here. I know you've had other things to do, but really appreciate you both spending time to come here. For the UK, German hand tools, German power tools are such an important part of a tradesperson's everyday life. So it's really good to just lift the lid on what goes into it and answer that question of why there are so many in the back of a tradesperson's van. So really, really appreciate your time. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Subscribe now and follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can listen and follow The Measure of Things on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And you can join the conversation on Instagram at @STABILA_UK.